Another week of Bears Talk Live here at the Blowing Rock Draft House. A true radio show this week as we're having some technical difficulties with the video, but you can still hear us, and that's what matters. Eric Bach here with head football coach Mike Jacobs of the Lenoir-Rhyne Bears. Great week for the Bears overall collectively. Obviously, football got back on track, wins the home opener against a good Mars Hill team by 2 touchdowns. Undefeated weeks for men's and women's soccer on the road, and men's soccer got a huge overtime win over number 4 Coker last night. Volleyball's undefeated in the league and in first place, and they have 2 huge matches this weekend. And Mike Jacobs and the Bears head back to the Commonwealth of Virginia to take on UVA Wise this weekend. Coming off a big 31-16 home win over Mars Hill, Coach. We talked after the game. I was able to be in the locker room after the game. It just felt like you could just feel a collective sigh of relief in the building after the game. Like it just had to feel good to get back on track in front of the home crowd.
Yeah, it was great to see, Moretz Stadium filled to the gills.
Sure.
and just feel a part of that energy. That's my first time, with a full house and the full atmosphere. And, I don't know if it was a sigh of relief or guys excited about, the hard work they put in the week to earn the victory. And, just super excited for them, proud of their effort through the week, and then super proud of their effort on Saturday to get us the win.
And we talked about this a little bit after the game on Saturday, but you got some really good performances from your big-time stars. We'll talk to Dan Louba next. Derek Young had 160 yards and 3 touchdowns. Grayson Willingham threw for almost 300 yards. Eric Jackson led the team in tackles. So those are all, you kind of check off the list of your stars. That's about it right there. So those guys really kind of led the way to that win, didn't they?
Absolutely. And, we had talked coming out of the Newberry game, we thought, had we made a couple critical plays at critical instances in all 3 phases of the game, that outcome may have been different. But to have those guys hone in, have great weeks of practice, and then at the most critical moments in Mars Hill, whether it be, a big red zone stop on defense, a big play or an answer on offense as they started to put a few points on the board, or, we had our best night in the special teams from top to bottom. So really a complete win, and again, super proud of our kids and grateful for the extra effort of our super seniors.
Yeah, and that was you hit on all 3, to me, keys to the game. When Mars Hill in the second half offensively kind of got some traction going and scored some points, you guys every time had the answer. Big drive, touchdown. And defensively, Mars Hill moved the ball decently well and for most of the game, but you guys, when it mattered most, kind of dug your heels in and stopped them. But one thing I know, and you mentioned this immediately after the game, that you weren't super pleased about were the penalties. Almost 120 yards in penalties. Going back through the film, was there a common theme in the penalties, or was it just kind of a little bit of outliers each time?
No, there was 3 ones that, we'll take gameplay type penalties.
Sure.
If you're playing hard and it's an aggressive play that you're just trying to make, but the dumb ones, the self-inflicted, the personal fouls, those are the ones that are critical. And going into the game, we were 8th in the country in fewest penalties, so we had done a really good job with that stuff. And with a young team, sometimes those are growing pains, but we got to do better on the self-inflicted ones. And certainly we've worked and talked and analyzed all that stuff to make sure that we're on track going forward.
So moving on to this week, UVA Wise is kind of an enigma. They're hard to figure out because they got thumped by Mars Hill, 44-9, and we know that Mars Hill is a quality football team. And then they turned right around and thumped Carson Newman, 33-7. So, it's homecoming at Wise. You guys are going up there, traveling tomorrow, spending the night halfway. Second trip to Virginia, so you guys are kind of used to that. But what are you guys expecting this upcoming weekend?
I expect to face a good UVA Wise team that's going to be fired up. I think they beat Carson Newman for the first time in quite a while, or maybe even the first time this past weekend. They played really well doing it. You saw them play an FCS team in ETSU early in the season, and although the score won't reflect it as you watch that game tape, they were really in the game through 2.5, 3 quarters of that. So, having played UVA Wise a handful of times when they were in the Mountain East Conference, we expect a well-coached Dane Dameron team that will be big and long at wide receiver, and they're usually pretty aggressive on defense. Yeah,
and the running back, Jay Gillespie, is reigning SAC Offensive Player of the Week, 180 yards last week against Carson Newman. So he's a guy you guys are definitely going to have to hone in on defensively.
Absolutely. We did a really good job, got back to playing our style of defense last weekend, and in terms of stopping the run, I think we held Mars Hill to 60 yards on 30 attempts. attempts,
Yeah.
which is, really pretty good. So, that'll be a big key for us, the line of scrimmage battle on both sides of the football.
They were completely one-dimensional offensively. I mean, they had to throw it 65 times to move the ball against you guys. But on the flip side, you guys running the ball, Dwayne McGee, another 100-yard game. Seems like every game he plays, he gets 100 yards plus. But there were some others that got some touches. Jadis Davis got almost 10 touches in the game. So how important is – obviously, Dwayne's the guy in the backfield.
Sure.
But how important is it for you guys to be able to give him breaks throughout the game just to keep him fresh?
Yeah, I think depth at all positions is critical. And, we do have a lot of young guys, and you don't want to put kids on the field until they're ready to go. But you saw Daquan Sturdivant with a few carries. He runs the ball. He's a little bit different body type than Dwayne, and then Jadis adds just a different element. And so, happy to get those guys in and again, spell DWE when we need to, and then also those guys are capable of explosive plays themselves.
There were three guys to me, other than, well, there's four guys. We're going to talk to Dan Louba next. Obviously, he stood out, 4 sacks, but there were 3 guys outside of him that stood out to me defensively. Eric Jackson. I thought John Ross May played an awesome game defensively, and I also thought Percy King was great. Can you talk about those 2 guys, especially JR? I mean, he was doing everything. He was in the backfield. He was making tackles downfield, breaking up passes.
Yeah, JR's been a kid for us since he really got to campus. That he's done a tremendous job for us. He plays downhill. He's aggressive to the football. And I thought you saw some of those things last week. And really, by the time you add in penalty plays and the 2-point conversions, we had to defend over 101 plays last week. So our kids really laid it on the line defensively last week. Percy King's been, I'd argue, one of our most consistent players on defense. Maybe not the big stat lines like he had in the spring, but he's been super consistent. He's tackled really well, and he's done everything that we've asked him. So both those guys at critical linebacker positions for us, both younger kids that are playing good football for us.
One thing we've talked about throughout all of our conversations on this show and off of it are, the turnover battle. Obviously, that the turnovers always basically decide games. And you guys have only had 2 in the last 2 games. You've protected the football well. You have to be pleased with the ball protection through the first 3 games.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something, it's something we pay quite a bit of attention to, and it's also one of those things that, like, if it's going well, you don't want to talk about it.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah,
so,
I probably just jinxed it.
Our guys,
Apologies.
no, that's all right. But our guys work at it, and it's something that we do work consistently in practice, both protecting the football and taking it away. We want to be intentional and forceful on defense and removing the football, but happy with the way that we protected the football. That's kept us in some close games, and it always gives you an opportunity to win when you win the turnover battle.
Last question. You mentioned to the team after the game, and you also mentioned to me after the game, that the biggest thing that you think the team has to improve on is playing complementary football. So can you explain exactly what you mean by that and what you hope to see in that this week?
Yeah, as it pertains to last week's game, I thought we had a bit of a slow start on offense.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's a variety of reasons for that, but defensively we pitched a shutout in the first half.
Right.
And so when we're playing good in all 3 phases at the same time,
right,
we're a tough team and we're a hard out on that stuff. But, we need to put things together consistently at the same time is what I mean by playing complementary football.
So Mike Jacobs and the Bears heading up to UVA Wise, moving up in the rankings, up to number 16 this week. It's a 2 o'clock kickoff up in Virginia. You can watch it. All the links are live or on the LR Bears website. And then they return home next week. Tough game coming up against Tusculum. Coach, good luck this weekend. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Eric.
We'll be back with Dan Louba next on Bears Talk Live.
What does unlimited mean to you? At Carolina West Wireless, it means unlimited media, unlimited fun, and unlimited access to our nationwide high-speed network. Sign up today for an unlimited data plan and pay just $35 per month per line for 4 lines. And we'll include hotspot and big-time savings on a new smartphone. Take $350 off the revolutionary new Samsung Galaxy S20 and get more out of your unlimited. Expect more, get more. Only from Carolina West Wireless.
Back here at the Blowing Rock Draft House, Bears Talk Live, presented by James Brown Realtors. Eric Bach, happy to be joined by Dan Louba, defensive tackle from Harrisburg, North Carolina. Dan just tied the school record with 4 sacks in the Mars Hill game. So Dan, was that the best game you've ever had from a statistical perspective?
Yeah, that was just the best game I've ever played ever.
Okay, ever.
Ever.
Okay, so I asked this question to both Grayson and Derek. They were on the show earlier in the season. All 3 of you guys could have been done after the spring, but chose to come back, got the extra COVID year. So what, in your mind, was the biggest reason why you decided to come back for one last ride this fall?
My biggest reason was basically because in the spring I broke my ankle.
Right.
And I was like, I just couldn't go out like that.
Sure.
I couldn't let my last time playing LR football be me laying on the ground at Newberry. So I just had to keep working and get back.
So we talked a little bit after the game on Saturday, but you said that the biggest difference between the Newberry game and the Mars Hill game in your mind was the practice preparation for the team. So what was the difference in practice between the Newberry week and the Mars Hill week in your mind?
Everybody was just locked in and ready to win.
Yeah.
That was a sour taste in our mouth.
Sure.
Coming off a loss to Newberry, but we had the right culture to get back up and dust ourselves off and go out there and win.
So we have to talk about the number change. You go from 90 to the big 0.
Yeah.
That's not a big jersey that you're wearing. So why did you want to change to 0?
I guess the 9 was too heavy. It slowed me down.
So you said to me after the game that you think that the smaller jersey, the offensive lineman can't hold you, right?
Yeah. So I mean, they couldn't grab me. So I was able to do what I want. So
I heard someone, I can't remember who it was, somebody in the football program told me that you have the gift of gab, that you can just talk about anything for a long period of time. So it gives me the side eye there. I know you can't see right now, but tell me about that. I know you are maybe one of the most interesting people I've ever talked to.
I don't know. My mom told me that you want to leave a lasting impact on someone. So I mean, the easiest way to do that is talking to them. And once you figure out what someone want to talk to, it's easy to continue the conversation.
Sure. So UVA-wise this weekend, they came here for homecoming in 2019. Your old teammate now in the NFL, Kyle Duggar, ran 2 punts back in the first 5 minutes of that game. Yeah. So what do you remember from that day and that game?
I just remember everything was clicking on defense. Yeah. Like we plan to do this week. It was just a nice atmosphere. I remember it was homecoming, so boys was ready to play, and it was just a great time out there.
Speaking of the atmosphere, what was it like to have that atmosphere back on Saturday night? Night game, students back, everybody back.
Yeah, it was just unbelievable, honestly.
Yeah.
People don't understand, the crowd really give you, the superpower you need to make a play or, give you the energy that you need when you might be tired.
So I want to talk about you and Amari Houston have played together forever. I don't know if there's 2 college teammates that have lined up next to each other more than you and Amari have. So just tell me about your relationship with him. You two have to know, if you're stunting or something, have to know exactly what he's doing. He has to know exactly what you're doing.
I mean, that's my brother, so it's just trust, honestly. I know Amar's going to do his job, and he has the trust that I'm going to do mine. I mean, we played a lot of football together, so it's just a tag team duo now at this point.
We talked about UVA-wise in 2019. Obviously, you guys, it's a different team now that you're going up there to face. It's their homecoming this week. Yeah. So is it a little bit extra juice to go in there you guys can ruin somebody's homecoming?
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like it's a little disrespectful to the schedule us during homecoming.
Right.
I mean, so it's going to be a rude awakening for them.
So what have you seen from them on tape? I know they got a really good running back. He ran for 180 yards last week. He was the SAC Offensive Player of the Week, so he's obviously a guy that you're going to have to deal with defensively. Mm-hmm. So tell me about him. Tell me about their offense.
Their offense, they like to throw the ball, so our main goal as a D-line is just to get home. I mean, just have a big game. Honestly, they have big receivers, so he's going to like to throw it up to him. We just have to pray. We just gonna have to prepare and be ready for that. They like to do tempo, so this week coaches have put us in situations where we have to go fast pace and just make sure that we lined up. So we have the preparation, so we just got to execute it.
I want to ask you about the D-line room. Obviously, Amari, Zeke Nance, you got the first line, you 3 guys, but there's a lot of good depth there. Can you talk about the younger players in that room?
We have DeAndre Shelton. He comes in third down he's a smooth pass rusher.
Sure.
We have Andre Jefferson. He's actually was a starter this season before I came back from my injury. It's no difference than me being on the field.
Sure.
We have Rashad Yelding. He's backup nose, and also Cameron Gordon. He's the backup. He's a freshman nose guard. He's played really well, and just Quentin Hayes doing his job. So it's a lot of depth in the D-line room. So we don't have to stay in there until we're gassed or tired.
Yeah. So I know the ankle's all good now. I know that it was kind of bothering you a little bit through camp, and you were, I think, a little impatient trying to get back, but the ankle's good now?
Yeah, it's perfectly fine. So
cool. So last question. Well, it's kind of a two-parter. What's one personal goal that you have for you for the rest of the season, and then a team goal for the rest of the season?
One personal goal, I talked to Coach Hardy about it. I want the sack record.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm aiming for. And a team goal is to be playing in December. So.
Yeah. So you have a couple more 4-sack games. You might get there. So Dan Louba and the Bears heading up to Virginia to play UVA Wise. Dan, thanks so much for your time. We'll be right back on Bears Talk Live with women's soccer head coach Gary Higgins.
Thank you.
Paramount Kia in Hickory. We want to see you driving a new Kia or, hey, a quality pre-owned Kia. We've got a huge selection of new and pre-owned Kias. You got to get to Paramount Kia in Hickory, Highway 70, ParamountKia.com.
Welcome back to Bears Talk Live, presented by J. Brown Realtors here at the Blowing Rock Draft House. Again, apologies for the technical difficulties that we have with the video. It's just audio this week, so we're working on that, and hopefully we'll be back next week. I'm here with head coach Gary Higgins from LR Women's Soccer. I can't even say the two letters of the school that I work for. 2-0 road conference week for the Bears. 2-1 win against Anderson last weekend. 5-1 win over Coker. 2 road wins, Gary. Got to be always good to win on the road, hard to win on the road. So you got to feel good about this past week.
Yeah, especially after we lost our first game against North Georgia.
Yeah.
That was on the road too, and that left a kind of bitter taste in our mouth. So to rebound at Anderson, which is always a tough place to go, they make it very difficult. They protect their home field very well. They're well coached, so that was a good win. The girls done really well in terms of performance and executing the game plan, and then faced some adversity during that game as well. We went down a man, and we unfortunately got a red card. So to keep the pressure on and maintain possession in situations like that was very positive. And then yesterday was a good result. The first half performance was really good actually. We just struggled to put the ball in the back of the net, and we only had it at 1-0, and then Coker scored against the run of play with 1 second to go. So they were a little bit shaken up at half time, but we just told them just keep doing what you're doing and keep trying to break them down, and we got that early goal second half, and the floodgates kind of opened there.
It was two very different games, though, because all 3 goals in the Anderson game came in the first half. It was a 2-1 at halftime and a 2-1 result, so you guys kind of held on there, and then, like you just mentioned, 1-1 at halftime. Coker scores with a second to go, and then you guys explode for 4 second-half goals. So you guys have shown not only in those 2 games, but this whole season that you can win both types of games,
right.
the close 1-0s or the 3-2s. So that's got to be a good feeling as a coach to know that whatever type of game you're in, you're kind of ready for it.
Yeah, we had plenty of practice of that in the spring because every game we played in was a close one, so we had to win in different ways. But coaching staff, Coach Carlos and Carrie had done some research last week and told the girls like the first 5 minutes and the last 5 minutes of each half, and the first 5 minutes, the first 5 minutes in the second half and the last 5 minutes in the second half too, is such an important time to stay focused, and the amount of goals that are scored at any level in those moments are quite fascinating. So that happened again these last 2 games, and you need to stay switched on in all those key moments.
I want to talk about the freshmen, because all 5 goals last night were scored by freshmen. Leone Proessel had a hat trick, and Evan O'Leary had 2 more goals. Your top 2 scorers on your team are freshmen. It's crazy to think about with all the experience you have coming back. So I know that the future is bright, but the future is here now for your program.
Yeah, that's a coach's dream when freshmen are coming in and making an impact straight away. So Leone got a hat trick last night. She's really starting to find her feet. She's a great player. So we were kind of expecting Leone to do well and make an impact straight away, but I'll be honest, we thought it may take a little bit more time for Evan, but she's surprised every single person in the program, and she completely deserves her recognition and the minutes and the games that she's starting. She's doing so well, and we're so proud of her, and we're really excited about the future of those 2, but also the rest of the freshman class, because they might not be getting as many minutes, but they're contributing in practice every day, and we're really, really excited.
And I'm sure that they're helped out by the Nevs, the Steph Figueiredos, the Amanda McFarlands. I mean, how much has that group of leadership that's been through so much helped them, the freshmen, kind of sprout?
Well, that's the big thing. So you could have talented freshmen, but if you don't have a solid core group of leaders to guide them and let them know what LR women's soccer is all about, then it's very difficult, even if you've got the talent to perform consistently. So yeah, those players that you mentioned and some others who have been here and been through some dips in form or been through some adversity, then they can pass on valuable pieces of information to those types of players, and that's Coach Jacobs will tell you, any coach at LR will tell you, it's all about trying to find that balance between youthful energy and experience and blending it together.
Yeah, and I think one name, if you just look at box scores, that goes under the radar completely is Vivian Becker-Peralta, your center back. She's a freshman too. I mean, these are key positions. I mean, you got Evan and Leone at the front line and another freshman, Vivian, at center back. I mean, these are crucial positions that are being filled, and these freshmen are excelling in these really important roles in your attack.
Yeah, so like soccer's a sport where the forwards and stuff get all the credit when
Sure.
they score the goals, but you got to be physical and a good presence back there in the back line, and Vivian certainly does that, and she's not only a very talented defender, but she's an amazing person, and she's so happy all the time. She wants to learn, she wants to be the best teammate, and yeah, we're blessed to have her.
So a huge stretch coming up. I mean, you guys are 3-0 in the league. There's 4 undefeated teams in the league: LR, Queens, Catawba, and Lincoln Memorial. And you play all 3 of them this week at home, starting with Lincoln Memorial on Saturday. So it was, since you've been the coach, you guys beat them in the spring, but it was a little stretch there where they got you a few times in a row. So it's always kind of a battle with Lincoln Memorial, and I'm sure you anticipate another one coming up this Saturday.
Yeah, thanks for reminding me about that. They were definitely our nemesis for a little bit there. They kept on beating us by 1 goal,
Yeah.
and we tried to knock the goal down many times in those games, but they managed, to be fair, they managed to do a really good job and beat us 4 times in a row, and then we got a monkey off our back, so to speak. In
5
the sprint.
goals.
Yeah,
5 to
goals.
3.
But they're still very talented. They've got some great players. They're undefeated this season in conference and out of conference. So got some key players we need to look at and be prepared. But we're back home. We feel as if we've been on the road forever the last 3 games. And like you mentioned, that this is a really fun week coming up. And if you can't get excited for this week, I don't really know what to say to you. What's the point of being a college soccer player if you can't get excited for this week?
So this last question, before Lincoln Memorial, before this stretch, because it goes Lincoln Memorial Saturday, Catawba Wednesday, Queens next Saturday. So what is one thing you hope the team improves on the most to kind of gear up for that 3-game stretch?
So we've started to see slight improvements on this aspect over the last couple of games, but that composure in the final third is key. We create a lot of chances in most games we play. Our build-up phases are good, and we're getting in areas that other teams maybe struggle to get into. But because we're doing it so fast, some people can be tense in certain moments. You need to be calculated and relaxed and under control in those moments, and it's finding that balance of attacking with intensity but being under control when you're doing it, and that's easier said than done, and even some professional soccer players struggle with that aspect, but we're trying every single day to get better.
I lied. This is the last question. How cool is it to see your friend Jack Winter get his 50th win last night in that fashion?
Oh, it was amazing. We stayed and watched the first half, and it was a great atmosphere, to be fair. Coker had a lot of fans there, and they knew how important that game was, but the boys dominated from start to finish, and those games can go either way when you're missing those chances and stuff, but the boys kept on going, and I can't speak highly enough for Coach Winter. He's a very, very good friend of mine. But he's an amazing person, and he does so much for those kids, and that's number 50, but there's going to be many, many more.
Gary Higgins and the Lady Bears, they have a huge stretch coming up this week. We talked about it all at home, so if there was ever a time to come see Gary Higgins' team, it's this week. So starting off Saturday with Lincoln Memorial. Coach, good luck in this stretch. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much. Go Bears.
Coming up next with Taylor Prall to finish things off here on Bears Talk Live. Here on Bears Talk Live on this Thursday from Hickory, here with senior volleyball outside hitter Taylor Prall. And TP, it's been just an awesome season so far. 6 straight wins, huge match against Tusculum tomorrow night. So next 2 days you're in action at home. So, this is what you came back for, right? So how has this ride been the last, few weeks, and how do you hope to continue it through the month of October?
I think the beginning of the season has honestly been a dream for my 5th year because, you never know what's going to happen, and especially with, the coaching change right before preseason started. But it's been really fun and exciting just being able to enjoy my team and just have fun. And that's, the main thing right now. We're having fun, which is then giving us wins. And I think the rest of the season we just need to continue having fun, and that'll give us even more. Kind
of leads me to my next question, because you guys have been, in your time, really competitive with the top of the league, just haven't been able to quite get over the top. And now it seems this year things are different. So if you could point to one difference between this year versus the previous years, what do you think it is? I think there's a lot of senior leadership this year. We are very much an older team, considering that COVID gave a lot of us our 5th year. Sure. And then on top of that, Coach Mark does a phenomenal job between giving us the balance of, we have our little laughs here and there, but then he also can get on us and tell us when we're doing something that we're not supposed to be doing. And I think that this year that's what we needed when we found out that there was going to be another coaching change. So I think that he has come in and really stepped up and been that role for us. Yeah, I was going to ask you about him, but you answered my question. He's been phenomenal as the leader, but none of the wins have been easy. All 6 of the wins have not been 3-setters. The first 3 were in 5. The last 3 have been in 4. So you guys have had some tense moments late in matches. So how do you think you guys have been able to come through every single time in the past 6? Volleyball is such a mental game, more than I think it is physical. Obviously, it has the physical aspect, but it's such mental, just being up and down, and there's runs here and there. And I think that, again, with the senior leadership, we can get everybody together and just be hey, let's get it together. This is our year, and just get it done. So it seems and you kind of already hit on this from an outsider perspective, you guys are a really close group. So you mentioned having fun, that leads to success, but just the closeness of this group has to just provide even an extra boost during the matches. Oh, it helps so much. I think that even being together outside of volleyball, just being bonded even more helps on the court, because you never want to be an individual in volleyball. It's not an individual sport at all. And the minute that someone becomes an individual, everything falls apart. And I think it really helps that our team is so close that we can just we can easily tell each other hey, get it together and pull it back in without anybody getting upset or anything like that, because we are just a whole group of friends. So one thing I wanted to ask you was, how did you end up here? I mean, you're from Ohio. Yeah. There's a lot of strong D2 schools a lot closer to your home, but it seems LR is your home now, and yep. I think that you've really found your niche here. So what brought you here in the first place? I think people forget that story.
It's kind of a long story on how I got here. Volleyball wasn't my initial choice coming into college. I was going to run track.
Right.
But when I finally decided that I wanted to play volleyball, my high school coach's daughter played at Carson Newman.
Okay.
So he actually knew the SAC and like our conference here. And then on top of that, I also knew that I wanted to go to school somewhere in the Carolinas or in Florida. So
good weather.
Yeah, better than,
Ohio.
Cold snow all the time. I'm not a big fan of the snow. But I think that just my high school coach was a huge part in my recruitment process because I got into the game so late because I had no idea I wanted to play volleyball in college until the second semester of my senior year of high school. And so he was sending email after email to other coaches, and I finally found, LR and Carson Newman and like that kind of area, and just kind of I fell in love with LR.
Simple as that. Big one tomorrow against Tusculum. Mm-hmm. You guys swept them in the spring, but before that, there was not too much success. So what's the biggest key tomorrow? I mean, they're undefeated in the league. You're undefeated in the league. It's a big one. It's still fairly early in the league season, but this one's going to matter later in the year.
I think we know that we only played them once
this
year.
Is it.
Yeah, this is it. So I think that we know that this is a huge game, and there's a lot riding on it. But then on top of that, we just have the confidence in each other so far because I don't think we've had this good of a start since my freshman or sophomore year, I think. And so just having that in the back of our minds and knowing that, it is possible. We swept them last year.
Yeah.
They are a great team.
Yes.
Like, they're a great team. I've been watching some film and everything, so it's going to be a tough game. But I think that we finally have, like, the confidence and the trust in each other that we can get it done this year.
And then you turn right around the next day and have another one against UVA-Y. So how difficult is that to kind of turn around on back-to-back days?
I actually enjoy back-to-back games. I'm not a huge fan of, like, the play Tuesday and then not again until Saturday kind of deal because I'm already on my toes Friday night, and then I just kind of wake up the next day and go into it. Granted, it is much harder for me to recover now that I'm in my fifth year.
I relate to that.
I can definitely feel the difference in soreness in my legs and stuff. But I think I like it better that way, and I think that a lot of my team feels the same way. And it's easier for parents and for fans, like we're at home two days in a row, so it'll be nice.
Last question. How good is it to have people back in the shoe?
You have no idea. I think that that's honestly one of the main reasons that we beat Wingate.
Yeah.
Is just having that environment back again. And it's everybody is always so supportive of volleyball. Like our fans are amazing, and the student section is always packed, and our parents travel, and it's phenomenal. It gives me chill bumps.
Chill bumps.
Chill bumps.
See some of TP's chill bumps tomorrow as they host Tusculum. Big game tomorrow, back-to-back days to watch the Bears at the shoe this weekend. This has been Bears Talk Live. We'll get the video back rolling again next week. Thanks to all our guests, and we'll talk to you next time.